All right. This is the Martin episode. So I want to start off with talking about Def Comedy Jam. Right? Def Comedy Jam is one of the biggest, and Def Comedy Jam is the conduit that birthed a lot of people, a lot of millionaires who weren't
careers too.
Yeah, like a lot of people in the movies that we know today, they came through Def Comedy Jam. And really, it came through they had a club called the Peppermint Club in New Jersey as well, where they actually picked this talent up. The Peppermint Lounge, I think it's called. Sorry, that's where they got the talent from to bring them to Def Comedy Jam, right? So Def Comedy Jam, that's Russell Simmons, the one who basically, I mean, really, if you want to think about it, he's the first one that got Run DMC that Adidas deal.
He was managing them too. Yeah, he was managing them at the time. Yeah.
So he's actually one of the first to have that. When we talk about brands and stuff like that, he was the first one to get them a sneaker deal. Really. So, I mean, it wasn't like the G Unit, S. Carter deal for Reebok. Mm-hmm. But Russell Simmons hooked that up. But Russell Simmons, Stan Lathan bought some of the raunchiest comedians since Red Fox, since
Eddie Murphy,
Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor. These artists probably would have never had a shot without Russell Simmons and Stan Lathan getting that deal with HBO. Right? There was no other channel that's going to be able to house this type of talent but HBO. So we got HBO broadcasting these artists now. We got, listen, Bernie Mac, Steve Harvey, Chris Tucker, D.L. Hughley, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Cedric, Ricky Harris, Eddie Griffin, Bill Bellamy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, dude, to be a player.
Right. Bill Bellamy, Adele Gibbons, some more. This is just the tip of the iceberg. It's so many. When you hear things like hamburger, that came from Def Comedy Jam. You don't understand. I ain't scared of you. That comes it's so many classic moments.
Yeah.
In Def Comedy Jam history that are still going on 27 years later.
Wasn't Dave up there, man? Dave Chappelle?
Yes, I said Dave Chappelle.
Oh, my
Dave
bad.
Chappelle came from there, yeah. And all hosted by Martin Lawrence, one of the greatest hosts that I've ever seen.
True.
One of the greatest hosts. He could host anything.
Mm-hmm.
When you come out there in your draws, he was the king of making moments on Def Comedy Jam. So when y'all think about Def Comedy Jam, what do y'all think about?
Yeah, that's classic comedy, especially when I'm coming up and growing up. It's funny moments, man. What I knew of comedy was that was it. That started that before anything. I was too young for Eddie Murphy Raw. I saw it as I got older, but comedy, that was the go-to right there. That was my first introduction to it.
That is our Raw though. You're right. That's our Raw. Even though I did see it.
Yeah,
I saw it as a little kid, but I didn't suppose to.
I saw bits and pieces as a little kid, but I didn't see it fully until I was an adult.
My brother tried watching it, and my dad caught him. He was like, "You ain't got no business watching no Raw. You ain't got no business watching no Raw. Turn that off." You're like, "Yo, man."
Yeah, that Raw was not. That exactly what the name meant. Raw.
Exactly. Yo. It was not for scrubs, yo. It was. Man,
I tell you, that joke was funny. What was the other one? What was the one Eddie Murphy was like when his, I think his grandmother, somebody fell down the stairs. She was like, "Lord, have me please, Lord, have me please."
Yeah, that was it. That was
Lord, have me please. He was like, "My shoe."
That was wrong. Yes, that was wrong.
Oh man, I love Eddie Murphy, man. That joke was funny, man. But what you think, man? What do you think about Eddie? Def Comedy Jam. What do you think about?
I mean, basically not being allowed to watch it. Like when I was a kid, every single time you see it come on and you see all the opening and everything, and I'm like, oh man, he's from these, because my first introduction to a lot of the guys y'all said are movies and TV shows, like Bernie Mac, D.L. Hughley, and all them. Like, with my introduction to them was like TV shows. I discovered as I got probably early teenage, that they all started on Def Comedy Jam.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as Martin, I think the thing with Martin, I watched You So Crazy before I watched Def Comedy Jam, and to this day, that is one of the funniest stand-ups I have ever seen.
Facts.
It's like one of the funniest stand-ups I've ever seen, and but You So Crazy is really, I've seen Martin before You So Crazy, but that stand-up is extremely hard. I want everybody out there to know that is not for the weak. To go out there and tell jokes and to
get a response from the people, funny.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We black, man. It's that. You know how we is. You know how the Apollo was. So if you go out there and you lay an egg, it's not good.
Facts.
So, and they'll let you know. So Martin Lawrence, genuinely one of the funniest people I have seen on that. He's the main memory from Def Comedy Jam that I have.
That man came out there in his drawers, bro. I will never forget that, bro. That jump was crazy, man. And that, but you're right though. When you talk about like Apollo, excuse me, Def Comedy Jam was the Apollo of comedy.
It was,
right? And for me, Def Comedy Jam is the moment that hip hop and comedy got like for real married. Like we was engaged with comedy. With like you had like Biz Markie, really funny like comedy rap. But we got married when Def Comedy Jam came out because Kid Capri was the hip hop DJ at that time, and that's why he's on that show. Because Russell Simmons could have went back and got Grandmaster Flash.
Yeah.
He could have got any DJ, but he got Kid Capri because Kid Capri was the man right there at that moment. And he's still the man right now. To my mind, he's like one of my favorite DJs. Like, hands down, if they doing a concert, like they was doing a concert out here in Atlanta, and my wife was going down the lineup. She's like, "Oh yeah, Kid Capri, Kid Capri." Where we go?
Double take.
Right, like. Forget anybody else. I need to see Kid Capri. He's on the bucket list. So when Kid Capri, whenever he shows up at a party, whenever I'm able to go and see him, I will be there. I promise you. Kid Capri, he's the man. Like I said, we mentioned earlier how he put Jay-Z in position to be one of the greatest hip hop artists of all time. Because that Hard Knock Life crossed him right over, and he got that beat for him. So, Kid Capri is the man. So when to me, it's the marriage of hip hop at that time. And then when you got Russell Simmons running it, he's running it like it's a hip hop, label, or like the way he ushered in hip hop talent.
Yeah,
and he has a whole bunch of them. And I think he was Rakim's manager at one time. Eric B. and Rakim's manager when he talking about Rush Management.
Yeah,
that's Russell Simmons. But that was a great moment. That was a great moment. Who's your favorite comedian that came out of Def Comedy Jam?
Bernie Mac, still for me.
Bernie Mac. What you got, Walt?
It's between Chris Rock and Martin Lawrence. It's
Martin
between
Lawrence?
them two, yeah. Like, it's between them two.
I mean, Bernie Mac is on there for sure, but
Still love Martin, man. Martin is just Martin's classic. But yeah, Bernie Mac for me.
I think I'm gonna say I think I'm gonna go with Adele Givens, and I'm gonna go with because I love Adele Givens. Adele Givens was like Adele Givens is one of the first female. Her and Samore and Cheryl Underwood.
Cheryl
Underwood.
Underwood.
Yeah, Cheryl Underwood is dope. Cheryl Underwood is
Have
dope.
you rolling?
She's
Man.
dope. She's the
Yo.
truth.
Hilarious.
Cheryl is definitely dope.
These women, man, like these women they were so clever. See, you gotta understand when you are a female and you got in the black community, you got jokes the way you got jokes. Like if you can make people laugh and like if we cracking jokes on each other and you really got a rebuttal, like on point, like you are my friend to the end. You know what I mean? Like if you can keep up with my people we always cracking jokes on each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to my boy Gerard. We always crack jokes on each other to this day. And any female that can really keep up with us, they in there. You know what I'm saying? To see the way she handled one guy in the crowd, and that was the other thing, like the roast like they used to have on the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Classic. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm gonna go with those. Like they were probably one of some of my favorites. If I don't pick Bernie Mac, I'm gonna pick them. So Def Comedy Jam, right?
Yep.
Do we need another Def Comedy Jam?
I think we do. I part of me thinks we do, man. Because like, okay, there's Def Comedy Jam. That was that era. Then what was it? Comic View that came after Def Comedy Jam. Mm-hmm. We don't have any like.
We
love the. Say what?
My fault. I mean, I said all we have is Dave Chappelle right now. But
all we have is Dave Chappelle, and like I missed Chappelle's show. Like Chappelle's show, and for me, took place of Def Comedy Jam, Comic View. Chappelle's show replaced that. We need something like we don't have anything like that.
What you think, Walt? What you think?
I think he's right. Like after Martin, like the next funniest stand-up I've seen. To be fair, people, I have not watched that much of Dave, but what I have seen of Dave is funny.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, and besides that, like Cat Williams, Pimp Chronicles, and Kevin Hart too. Let me stop. Well, I'm not going to downplay Kevin Hart. I don't think the other guys, but I still think Kevin Hart. He's holding it down.
He's holding it down.
He can. Yeah, you feel me? It's not like he
came on the tail end, by the way, of Def Comedy Jam. The ending of Def Comedy Jam. Him and
he was on there?
Yeah, the ending. Like when it was like fizzling out.
Mm-hmm.
He came in. Him and what's the other one? She ready?
Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish, yeah.
Okay.
They all came in on the tail end of like the end of Def Comedy Jam. Yeah. But I'm sorry, what you were saying, Walt?
But yeah, like after that, like we had the Chappelle show, and basically all the big comics from Def Comedy Jam had their own TV shows. You already know Bernie Mac, I Like the Kids, all that kind of stuff. But then Everybody Hates Chris, and then after that, we haven't really had anything to bring in a new usher of comics. I also think it's because of how sensitive we are right now. The way the world is, we can't tell the same jokes that we used to tell. Not if you're black. So I just think like they're not really. If Dave Chappelle is the dude, was the black actor, was the black comedy dude who had white people crying. So I'm saying, like, I hear white people was talking about Dave Chappelle like he's the funniest man alive. So when you got him getting the back flat, it's kind of hard for him to be the guy to usher in more new black comics when
Right.
the guy at the helm is already getting like a bad take. I feel like most people still F with Dave Chappelle, but it's not like he isn't battling something. Because
Right.
he will say what people will not say. Like he will
Right.
make the jokes that people will not be like, oh snap. So
That's what makes him him too, because if it's him being in that space has allowed him to, I think, rise at the top and to be in a position where, you know, like he is a true legend. And like on the Chappelle show, of course he was talking about stuff that you know, like it was like you would normally talk about. Like,
Right.
you know, it's like, well, I can't believe you said that. But yeah, but I think that has helped him to stand out and be in a space.
Listen, Dave Chappelle knows his calling. Cat Williams, who's also was on Def Comedy Jam as well,
Yeah.
knows his calling. They're not here to crack jokes. They're here to make you be uncomfortable and to make you look at yourself in a different light and to expose people. They know what they're here for. That's why Dave Chappelle tells the jokes the way he tells them, because he knows why he's here. He's here for jokes, but he ain't here for jokes. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's just what it is. So people know their space and what they're here to do. You know, so that's it. So but I was so Walt, you took my question. I was going to ask, like, we picked up 1992's Comic View. I'm sorry, Comic View, Def Comedy Jam, and dropped it in 2022. Is it surviving?
no.
You got so many other movements that'll probably come up to try to shut it down. But I think we need laughter in this day and age, honestly. And I think it'll be still really something really good. But the sad thing is you would see a whole bunch of different movements coming up that'll say like, no, you can't do that, or people trying to protest against this, against that.
Yeah, you know, I was going back to what you I think we were talking about, like this, like with Def Comedy Jam and whether or not we need another one. I think that what's special about Def Comedy Jam also was that it was a filtering, like it helped people sharpen each other, right? Like these people that we know learn from each other. It was like a university almost for comics, where they can come and they can be themselves, be honest, you know, and be able to flourish and, like I said, learn from each other, you know, and you know, there was a lot of learning experiences. Like, you know, Dave Chappelle always talks about how, because they had to go through an auditioning phase, and he got turned down like 3 times to be on Def Comedy Jam.
Dave Chappelle?
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
The strongest hitter, and he got turned down 3 times.
Exactly. So yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like it's a way now, you know, now with the social media is like that Def Comedy Jam, and they can buy a lot of stuff. Like they don't, like you in the social media world, you can buy your own blue check. You understand what I'm saying? Like you can buy
your own audience.
Yeah, exactly. So you might not be funny, but you think you funny. When you come through Def Comedy Jam, you know you're not funny. Because the crowd tell you, and your people gonna tell you like, nah, you know, they ain't, you know, like you might need to do this, you might need to do that. They gonna boo you. Like, y'all know the whole story about what happened with Bernie Mac, right? Like, before he got on stage.
Yeah.
And if the audience did, if y'all don't know, there's a part in Def Comedy Jam where he comes on and he says, y'all don't understand. I ain't scared of you, mother. Right?
Yeah.
What he's saying, before he came out, they booed some other comic. They was booing comics all night. And Bernie Mac came through and ripped that house down. Like, he killed it. I mean, he had Kid Capri, you know, kind of backing him up with the music. Like, it was classic. And he's done that several times where he just ripped down shows. You don't want to come after Bernie Mac. You don't. That's why Bernie Mac is last.
Yeah,
that's why he's last on the Kings of Comedy, because they know, all of them know, you don't want to come after Bernie Mac, and they respect that. Mm-hmm. He did that decades. He was doing that years before he even made it to Def Comedy Jam. Mm-hmm. So he's like the godfather of Def Comedy Jam. Even before he died, that he was the man. You know how people like say, oh, you know, we say these things because he passed. Well, no, they know. Everybody knows that he's the man. You know, so R.I.P. to Bernie Mac.
Yep.
So one more question, we move on from Def Comedy Jam. Do you think Def Comedy Jam boxed black comics in? And here's what I mean by that. So we've talked about the success that everyone's had. Everyone, pretty much most of the icons that we know, most of them came from Def Comedy Jam. True. The black comics, right? But there's a format for Def Comedy Jam. Most of it is raunchy. It ain't clean. It's a lot of cursing. It's a lot of sex talk. This is not for kids, and you ain't making it to like I don't know, Disney. You're not making this Disney. Most of the time, coming from Def Comedy with the Def Comedy Jam format.
No, not with the format.
Right. So the question is, does it box the black comic in? Because at this point, you know, now you're known for the raunchiness, but you can't be clean.
You know what? I think to a certain degree it kind of does, which is messed up. It's funny that you mentioned Disney but they'll have a Billie Eilish concert, and Billie Eilish is having videos with her going around her, saying that, you know, all good girls go to hell or whatever. But she's on Disney. Sorry for the side note. But yeah, but I mean, I kind of feels like, you know, if you come off in a certain way, in especially as a black comic, I think that the world is going to perceive you as being that. And you have to work to try to clean up your image a little bit, to try to be accepted for the rest of the world. I mean,
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, you have to clean your image. I mean, like, shoot, Bernie Mac had to clean up his image to a certain degree too for him to get that show, because he wasn't telling the same jokes as he was on the Bernie Mac show. And I mean,
is that elevating your craft? Is that what you would call that?
I think in a sense it kind of is, or yeah, I think it can be looked at that in a sense. It can be looked at in a sense. Yeah, I think it can be, because if you still are able to be funny and you're able to be funny without being raunchy, that's showing the level of skill that you have to be a true comedian.
Right. I mean, I think that at one point, I think they all had to figure out how to diversify their craft.
Sure.
You know, but at the same time, it's like, I think most comedians who are successful are following the Def Comedy Jam blueprint still, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
As far like after your stand-up career, you go into like an acting TV show, then movies. Right. Now that standard was set with Red Fox and Richard Pryor, like they was, and Eddie Murphy, like they all did that. And then Def Comedy Jam kind of like.
But see, yeah, they listen. Red Fox. So Red Fox type of comedies like he didn't have to curse. He was very clever. Back then you were extremely clever. Def Comedy Jam, we on a whole nother level. It ain't clever. It ain't one of them things. They like I ain't like it ain't no like you ain't gotta guess what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. So and this type of thing, white America was like obviously HBO was like yes. Because for a few years that was their number one show. Like 1.4 million people, I think, tuned in to Def Comedy Jam.
Yep. Everybody want to watch the black people.
Right.
Exactly.
Now,
to watch it.
Now, keep in mind, Bill Cosby didn't like Def Comedy Jam. He hated Def Comedy Jam. People.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kids say the darndest things.
He compared it. He compared it to blackface.
Yeah. Yeah.
He compared it to what's the name of that? I forget the name of that movie. I forget the name of that movie that this the white director made with the blackface. He
Birth
said
of a Nation?
Yeah. He was saying
Snap.
he was saying
Wow.
yeah.
He went in for real.
He said that director is in hell proud.
Oh Lord. William.
He made using in those type of words, but that's what he was trying to say.
Not the colorful metaphors, man.
Yeah.
God,
But
That's crazy.
yeah, but I mean, the thing about it is like these are people who telling their truths, and here's the thing: you talk like this behind the scenes. Come on, stop it. You know, we know how you get down. You know, behind the scenes, they just doing it in the light, and they get money. So it's kind of one of them things. It's like, you know, did it set us back, or did it?
I don't know about saying
it's the same thing. I mean, it's not the same thing as music, though. And it's the same. It's art in general,
Right.
We look at being able to go up on stage. Comedy is an art form,
Right.
so we're here for the entertainment, right? So I'm saying, Black people, we are known to do that. Like we take our trauma and we put it into an art
Right.
form for us to enjoy. So
Right.
comedy is not. If you're gonna come at them for comedy, you gotta come at musicians. You gotta come at rap. You gotta come at hip hop. Then you gotta come at. Then you have to come at. Yeah, you gotta come at movies. You gotta come at musicians. You gotta come at artists. You gotta come at everybody. And the thing is, Def Comedy Jam made it pretty clear this was not for the kids. You feel me?
Right,
So it came on at midnight, sometimes 1. It came on late, and that's when you knew like this was not for the scrubs. But I'm just saying, I don't look at it as placing us in a box, because like, who am I to say that you can't use your life experience to propel yourself? You feel me?
Right.
Like if you're not hurting nobody for real, if you're going up on stage telling some jokes about your own life or your family or whatever, yeah, you're gonna ruffle some feathers, but at the end of the day, like, that is your form. You're still gonna do that regardless of what you do and regardless of what you create. So when it comes to like to Def Comedy Jam, I know the whole thing is that you're making fun of people and all that kind of stuff, and maybe some jokes are unnecessary, but we shouldn't police them. That's not our job. I don't think that's our job to do that.
Right. Freedom of speech, people. I say that we can move on. I say this, we'll move on.
Freedom of speech to a certain degree.
Right.
Come on now. You know certain things that you will be able to say and certain things that you will not say the wrong thing. Watch some people you're not gonna let you do it though.
You're right. but I think if anything, Def Comedy Jam did diversify comedy for Black people, because no longer were we shucking and jiving trying to get on their level. Now we kicking it on our level and talking like how we want to talk, like we talking in our living room.
1.4 million.
Right. Exactly. And here's the thing: there's still room for those who like Bill Cosby to do their thing. Def Comedy Jam did their thing, and now everybody is eating. Now you're not forcing that person to put on a Cosby sweater. Now they on stage with their hip hop gear, whatever they want to wear, and they talking the talk, they like to talk, and that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's either you like it or you turn it off.
True. You got a choice.
It's timing. It's all that kind of stuff. That's the stuff you don't watch when you little. You watch the Cosby's when you little. You get older, teenage.
Exactly.
Yeah. So come on,
yeah. But we'll move on.